それではそろそろ始めますので、席の方にお着きください。お願いいたします。
Oh, I did it. Yeah, thanks. Thanks. Okay, part two. So new discoveries in particle and quantum physics look at the universe in a different way, and they look at the universe as a kind of a hologram of information. And so we live in a paradigm where there's not enough energy, there's not enough gasoline, it's expensive. But actually, we're surrounded by infinite amounts of energy. So the idea of not enough is an illusion. There's plenty of energy in the universe. We've looked at some of the public discoveries in science and NASA's information about warp drive. But if you look at private corporations and what is called the military-industrial complex, which are corporations that make jet fighters, military aircraft, nuclear weapons, missiles, these companies have a lot of power and a lot of secrecy. This man, his name is Ben Rich, and he was the director of the Lockheed Martin Skunk Works, which was they make all the top secret stealth bombers, stealth fighters, and other secret projects, including the SR-71 Blackbird. Now, recently he died, and before he died, on his deathbed, he said publicly, "We already have the means to travel among the stars, but these technologies are locked up in black projects, and it would take an act of God to ever get them out to benefit humanity. Anything you can imagine, we already know how to do." So black projects are secret projects run by the military-industrial complex, which develop secret technology. So if that is true, then it's possible that we already have this kind of UFO technology in secret projects in the military. We're going to talk about UFOs briefly. Again, if we now know that we can travel faster than the speed of light, we know that the ETs can also do the same thing. And so it's not so crazy to think that we're being visited by ET spacecraft and ET beings. Anyway, this is my personal view about the UFO phenomenon. Number one, the universe is teeming with highly advanced space-traveling ET civilizations. They're everywhere. Two, they are highly advanced spiritually and technologically. That means because their technology is so powerful, they have to be spiritually mature to be able to use it. Otherwise, they'd destroy themselves in war. Number three, the really advanced ET civilizations don't need spaceships or technology to travel around the universe. I won't talk too much about that here, but that's just a personal belief. 3, they have eliminated war and poverty in their cultures. So these ETs, they don't have war, they don't have hunger or poverty. Theirs is a life not of economic slavery and survival, but of abundance, bliss, and personal growth. That means they enjoy their life. They're free to explore, they're free to make themselves better and to evolve. 6, they don't like to interfere too much in our affairs. They don't like to interfere in our life, because that would rob humanity of the opportunity to learn, grow, and evolve. So they have a hands-off policy, but they still contact us a little bit. So number 7, there has always been contact, always. Interestingly though, since 1945, the number of ET UFOs visiting us has increased dramatically, and I think that's because we're in a very dangerous situation with nuclear technology, and they're kind of keeping a close eye on us to make sure that we don't destroy ourselves. This man is Dr. Edgar Mitchell. He was an Apollo astronaut. He was the 6th astronaut to walk on the moon. He said publicly recently that NASA knows that UFOs are real and that they're covering up the information. Other astronauts also are coming out publicly and saying the same thing. This is Gordon Cooper. He was a Mercury 7 astronaut in the 1960s. He said, "I know other astronauts share my feelings, and we know the government is sitting on hard evidence of UFOs." The reason why governments are hiding knowledge of UFOs is a really important question, and I don't have time to go into that here because it is a whole lecture in itself. Okay, I'm going to show you a slideshow with a little bit of music, which is 7 minutes long, and I'm going to show you a slideshow of crop circles. And I think crop circles are really important because for me they represent ET contact with us, and they're trying to find out our reaction, how we react to it, and that will give them some idea on how to further contact, because we're starting to enter their world. We now have the technology to travel to the stars, and they're making more contact. They're trying to see how ready we are for more contact. So it's like a step by step by step, slowly, slowly, slowly. They don't want to come and land on the White House lawn. They want to do it in a very subtle, gentle, and friendly, artistic way. And I think crop circles are ET contact in a very gentle and loving way. Forget what you heard on TV about crop circles. The information is wrong. Remember what Yoda said, you must unlearn what you have learnt. There are human-made crop circles, of course, and some of them are very, very good and beautiful. And I think it's wonderful that people make crop circles as well as ETs. It's like an artistic project together. However, the genuine ET crop circles are perfect. There are no mistakes. They often have mathematical and physical information encoded in the patterns. Often small balls of light are seen. The balls of light are about the same size as a soccer ball, and they are often seen, and they've been videotaped many times. You can see them on YouTube very easily, these balls of light moving around the crop circles. They often involve sacred geometry, which is geometry. triangles, circles, plutonic shapes. So as I said, I believe they represent ET contact in a very gentle and fun way. And they're testing the water to find out when we're going to be ready for the next step. Interestingly, the crop circles have been around for hundreds of years. They used to call them fairy circles because often balls of light would be seen in the fields by people, and the next morning they'd go into the field and there'd be a circle. So they're not new, they've been around for a long, long time, all over Europe and other parts of the world. Crop circles occur in England mainly, but they also appear in Belgium, France, Germany, Austria, Italy, Indonesia, Korea, Canada, North America, and other countries. It's a global phenomenon, not just England. I think England is popular for crop circles because there are a lot of stone circles, ancient stone circles in England, and I think there's some connection with our past history, some sacred sites that are associated with crop circles. And also, the last point I want to make about the crop circles is that they're made in fields of wheat, usually, which comes up to about here. This is how high. And then it's lain down in a pattern. Since 1994, the complexity of the crop circles has increased dramatically. Before 1994, most of the crop circles were just single circles. And then what happened in 1994? Well, the thing that happened in 1994 was the World Wide Web, or the internet. So that now people all around the world could access information about crop circles. The media, the mainstream media, no longer had control over what people investigated for themselves. So my personal feeling is that there's no coincidence that the complexity of crop circles dramatically increased when the internet arrived on planet Earth. It's not a coincidence. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed the slideshow. So just let me get ready for that. It'll probably take me about a minute, and it's 7 minutes long. Okay. Okay, so okay, I hope you enjoyed that. I want to talk about another topic which sounds like it's not connected to anything. Okay, I've talked about the science of space travel and faster than light space travel. I've talked about the new level of ET contact and ET contact stepping up, it's becoming more. The next thing I want to talk about is the resurgence of interest and research into psychedelic plants and mushrooms. What the heck? In the 60s, young people went crazy because of psychedelic drugs. Oh, what's happening? Excuse me. And all research was banned and stopped, and drugs, those kind of drugs were made illegal. Recently, universities are now allowed to do research into psychedelic plants and mushrooms. These are natural plants and mushrooms. They're not chemicals made in laboratories. And they've been used in cultures for thousands and thousands of years, in shamanic cultures. And recently there's been a renewal of interest in these plants. And this is the Amazon rainforest, which we're killing. But ironically, the Amazon rainforest contains a kind of a secret, which is helping to change consciousness. It's not really a secret. The Amazonian Indians have known about this for thousands of years. In their culture, they take a tea called Ayahuasca regularly. Usually the shaman or the shaman would drink the tea and travel to other dimensions and get information about what the weather's going to do next week, information about where the monkeys are, or so on. But recently, that information has become available because of the internet, and people from all over the world are going to the Amazon to try ayahuasca. People from many different walks of life, professionals, scientists, artists, and so on. Let's look a little bit closer. Ayahuasca. What is ayahuasca? Ayahuasca is a powerful natural medicine, part of nature's toolbox. Most of the drugs that we use come from plants. Ayahuasca contains DMT, which is dimethyltryptamine. Sounds like a chemical. It is a chemical, but it's a natural brain chemical. Your brain produces DMT while you're sleeping. It's produced inside the brain in the pineal gland. It's harmless, non-toxic, and as I said, it occurs naturally in the brain. It also occurs in many, many plants. It has been used for thousands of years by shamans in the Amazon rainforest, and also similar plants have been used in other cultures around the world. People who have consumed ayahuasca report having spiritual revelations regarding their purpose on earth, the true nature of the universe, as well as deep insight into how to be the best person they can possibly be. In other words, it's a very positive plant. Psychedelic plants and mushrooms dissolve boundaries. They are boundary dissolving agents and allow the traveler to cross to other dimensions. In those dimensions, they gather knowledge and inspiration, receive guidance and healing. It is a direct and life-changing experience. So the key point is it's a personal experience. It's not a book or a guru or a teacher. It's a direct relationship with a plant. And number 6, people from all walks of life are traveling to the Amazon rainforest to have an ayahuasca encounter. So we talked about the new physics, looking at how space is actually crammed full of information and energy. And if you can tap into that, you have access to all kinds of information. This is ayahuasca. You have, this is a vine that grows around a tree, and this is a leaf from another tree. I've got the names, the scientific names of it. Let me see. The vine is Banisteriopsis capi, and the leaf is Chacruna. So somehow the Amazons figured out how to get these two plants together. And it's the world's most powerful psychedelic medicine. Forget LSD. This is much, much more powerful than LSD. And it's completely natural. So they boil it for several hours and make a tea, and then you drink the tea, and it tastes absolutely disgusting. People throw up and vomit and have to go to the bathroom. And that's what they call the purge. It gets out all the toxins, gets out all the negative energy. And then after about 30 minutes, the experience starts. People go to other dimensions. They meet entities. They gain insights, and they gain healing. It's a very mysterious experience. This is an ayahuasca retreat in the jungle. These are some people that have come to try the ayahuasca. The ayahuasca experience is usually a 2-week retreat, and every second night you take the ayahuasca in a group setting. So it's a very sacred, controlled, calm setting in nature. Very different from the 60s craziness. The shaman is somebody who is not a guru. He simply makes sure everybody is okay and calms people down when they have a frightening experience. So he's like a tourist guide. These are people making the ayahuasca. And this is the ayahuasca ceremony, usually at night. People have all kinds of experiences during their ayahuasca journey, and it has inspired people to paint, because they often say it's very difficult to put into words the experience that they have while on an ayahuasca journey. But I'm an artist, I love art, and I just love the paintings that are inspired by these expeditions. These are sort of what people experience. They go to other dimensions, very kind of like a fairy tale environment. They meet nature spirits, they meet other spirits, other entities, ETs. And some of the beings can change from animals to humans. You have mermaids, snakes. Often people encounter these snakes, and when the snake approaches, they often say that they know who it is, and it's the spirit of Mother Earth. And the snake will speak to them very lovingly and give them guidance. I guess you could say the animals represent avatars. So it's a very mysterious thing that not many people know about. But thanks to the internet, more and more people are learning about this. The other important point is that when people have this encounter, they kind of become one with the nature, become one with the natural world. And after the experience, they have a different consciousness about nature. They want to protect nature. So the Amazon jungle is producing the antidote to Western civilization, which is destroying the Amazon. But the paintings are very mysterious. You can see people often encounter UFOs and ETs in these dimensions. So there is a connection with the ET phenomenon. This is Alex Gray. He's a New York artist, and his life changed after taking ayahuasca, and now he spends his life painting paintings based on his ayahuasca experiences in the Amazon. So ayahuasca is similar to the internet. What does the internet do? The internet dissolves boundaries between people. You can communicate across national borders. Well, ayahuasca removes the border between you and nature. You become part of nature for a short time. There's a lot more to that topic, but I don't have time to go into it. I'm going to move on to talk about what I think is the new revolution. Sorry, I can't hear you. Yeah, okay, so we've got, I'll do this quickly. Okay, the next revolution is energy. We're living in a gasoline world, and we're going to move into a new time of free energy, clean energy, and abundant energy. Okay, I'm going to go through this really, really quickly. This is Elon Musk. He has a car company called Tesla Motors. He also has a space company and a solar energy company. And his mission is to rid the world of gasoline. Goodbye gasoline. So he shares his information with other companies, open source sharing. This is a battery that he's selling for $3,500. Sorry, this is sounding like a commercial. But you put this in your house on the outside or the inside, and that can power your house. You have solar panels on the roof, and that's your off-the-grid power system. Very simple. The motors are about the size of a watermelon. You have one in the front, one in the back, which means that you have plenty of space. And these are the Tesla charging stations, which they have built in many countries. In America, they have a whole network stretching across the United States and Europe, and Japan's just starting. And you can charge up your car free. There's no charge. It's completely free. So it doesn't cost you anything for the energy. Okay, the last bit is People have become very interested in healthy food. People don't want food with chemicals in it, pesticides, or GMOs. Thanks to the internet, people are learning about healthy food, and people are starting eco-villages around the world. These are small villages where people live and work together, grow their own food, build their own houses, and produce their own energy in a very eco-friendly way. So this is a new trend. Here are some examples. Some are very high-tech. People build their own houses. You don't have to go to a bank and borrow money and pay it back for 30 years. You want a house, they build you a house. Everybody helps. So actually, it's going back to the past, how we used to live. Clean, simple, healthy living, but with high technology. This year I was invited to an eco-village in Asahi, and I spent an afternoon there. These people build their own houses, they produce their own energy, take care of each other. Beautiful, beautiful place. All the houses are made from the timber. This stove had just arrived, it hadn't been installed yet. Very good idea. This is one example, you don't have to have old technology, you can have modern technology too. Okay, so I wanted to show you just a little bit of my artwork, which combines some of those ideas that I've talked about, free energy, UFO technology, and show you how we might be living in the future. So I'm going to skip, and I'll try and do that, get it finished in about 5 minutes, and then after that we'll do Q&A. Okay, the future. Where are you? Here it is. Okay, let's do the fast version. Just quickly, this is how we used to see the future in the past. So this is, like a view of the future from about 100 years ago. Big airships. This is an automatic orchestra. This painting was done in 1899, and it tried to show the future in the year 2000. So in the year 2000 we would have telephones, we would have machines to help incubate eggs on the farm. That's pretty frightening. And everything was just bigger. Everything was bigger, bigger trains, bigger buildings, based on the technology they had then. They didn't imagine jumbo jets, they didn't imagine space rockets, they didn't imagine smartphones or iPads or computers. They had no concept of that. Here's another view of the future. So it shows you how difficult it is to visualize the future. But I think it's really fun to try. Hollywood gives you very negative views of the future. So, there's not much to inspire people about the future when you watch Hollywood movies. except for Star Trek. This is George Takei. He's one of the crew of the Starship Enterprise. And Star Trek is a show that had a vision about a positive future. In Star Trek, there's no money. The acquisition of wealth is no longer the driving force in our lives. We work to better ourselves and the rest of humanity. Okay, so this is how I see the future. You don't need highways, you don't need roads, you have UFO technology, you can fly anywhere in minutes. This couple live up in the highlands of New Zealand. This is their car. It's a little UFO. They can travel around the world, no problem with that. So this is, my vision is high technology, but low-tech living, simple living, living closer to nature. People can take space cruises to the moon. This is a slow cruise to the moon. This is my great-great-granddaughter. She's going to take a 2-week trip, 1 week to the moon, go around the moon, and then come back. It's a slow cruise. This is a flying house that my great-great-granddaughter lives on. She's an artist. This is her studio. She's relaxing in the swimming pool at the front. And this just floats around the sky at walking pace. Because in the future, there's no hurry. It's a slow-paced life. We glorify being busy, being efficient, being punctual. We glorify busy, but in the future it'll be the opposite. People will have time to think. Here she is visiting some friends in a village in the Andes Mountains. This is a small eco-community living up in the mountains. Clean air, clean water, clean food. Now she's visiting a community that lives on the cliff tops. There's some art galleries, cafes. Here she is skiing with friends. This is like a flying house. And they don't need a ski lift because they can just use anti-gravity technology to float up. Dancing in the rainforest. There's their little UFO car at the top. You don't need a car park, it just floats up in the sky until you need it. Here she is enjoying a typhoon at sea. Quite safe in her flying house, but for some reason she thinks it's a great place to meditate with her cat. And this is another eco-community. You can see the flying car, UFO technology. Makes no noise. People have a much slower paced life. And you can choose the kind of community you want to live in. You can live in a Buddhist community, a Christian community, a design community. You've got choice. This is my great-granddaughter in the Amazon jungle. She's doing a 2-week ayahuasca encounter with her friends. These are the flying cars that they use to get there. This is another community somewhere in South America. Again, you've got the flying cars and very simple life close to nature. Of course, cities will still exist, and people will have festivals in the sky. So this is based on the Burning Man festival. People have anti-gravity clothes, high technology. So this is like a 2-week festival of music, dance, art, similar to the Burning Man festival in Nevada Desert, USA. But this one takes place in the sky above the ocean. This is what I call Sky Hub. This is a floating community center, a bit like this place. People can go there for meetings, to meet friends, to hear talks. There's cafes and restaurants and so on. This is a floating design studio. The people that live here with their families, they love design. They design spacecraft. This is a floating health retreat for yoga, meditation, other cultural practices from around the world. People can go there to relax and recover. This is a floating cafe and gallery. These two glass pyramids are the art galleries, and you've got a cafe, you've got an art shop here, and parking. This is my great, so this is about 200 years in the future, and she's going back to her spaceship, but the spaceship could just come and land, or she could just teleport directly to it, but she thinks, oh, it's a beautiful evening, I think I'll walk. And in her imagination, she imagines a staircase, and because of the technology is coupled with your imagination, the staircase will appear before her and she can just walk up. So high technology will appear like magic to us. These are just some flying cars that I hoped we would have by now. They use UFO technology. This is a family house. So some people choose to live in a flying house or a spaceship, so you can, instead of living in one place, you can travel around the universe. A similar idea, a flying house. It can also land on the water. This is more like a flying car. Another small camper car. That's what I call a space dinghy for short distance travel. This is like a flying motorbike. Another version. This is a family spaceship, and here they're enjoying huge waves in the middle of a hurricane, perfectly safe. These are some snapshots of their vacation. There they are on top of an iceberg. Where shall we go next, Mum? Oh, let's go to Hawaii. Okay. No passports, no visas, no security is necessary in the future. You don't need to go to an airport. You just get in your vehicle and go anywhere you want. You don't have to ask anybody's permission. It's on a lake in New Zealand. This is my great-granddaughter coming back from her space travels. She has a pet cheetah, and the cheetah and her niece's dog are playing frisbee together. This frisbee is automatic, it can fly around by itself. And in the evening, she's telling her stories of her space travel, and everybody's just gathered around playing music. This is her parents' house, which is built in space. All the materials come from space. It's built in space. You don't do any damage to the environment. Then it's gently floated down using anti-gravity. And this is a garden for the food. And the top part is their spaceship. It's a spaceship. And finally, this is just one of my future relatives. She's been meditating in the desert. She wakes up from her meditation and she's surrounded by animals. This is a graveyard for all the old military hardware, because we no longer need military equipment. So they just dump it in the desert until they can melt it down. But this place has some importance to her family. So she's visiting this area because it has some connection to her past. So that's it. I went over a little bit too long, but we've got 15 minutes of questions and answers. So thank you very much for watching and listening. Okay, questions. Gino, yeah.
science says that in 30 years, our society changes to AI,
Artificial intelligence.
Intelligence. Do you have any point of view about that?
Artificial intelligence, AI. What do I think about that in 30 years? I think AI is coming. I think AI it's probably already here.
How do you think about changes, changes of society? Our society, how does our society change?
With AI.
Yeah.
So how will our society change once AI comes along? AI, artificial intelligence, when machines become intelligent like people? Good question. I think it's going to be a good thing. I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm sure it's coming. But I think at the moment we use technology to make our lives easier, but actually the opposite is happening. The more technology we have, the more stress we have, because it just means we can do more work. But I think our consciousness will change and the way that we use technology will change. But I can't see what's going to happen, but I feel AI is going to be a good thing when we change our consciousness. We'll use it in an intelligent way.
In addition, how do you think about, for example, you people compete with another people, each other, and so we take the influence of competition.
Competition.
Competition, and so, but in 30 years, in case of in taking influence of competition, we people compete with the robots.
People will compete with robots. I think with our current consciousness, that's true, but I think our consciousness is changing. So I think our future relationship with robots will be very different, and we'll start to use robots to help us and make our life slower pace. It's just my personal opinion.
If we people compete with any other people, we have no humanity.
Well, yeah, no, we don't. We have lots of humans on this planet, and there's a lot of humanity. But when we turn on the TV, we just see the dark side. But people are naturally cooperative. People are naturally loving and helpful. So it's just the small number of people that make war and make trouble. But most people want peace. They want to live and live peacefully with other people. So yeah, it's a very long topic. So my topic was really about a vision of the future where we have high technology but closer to nature. So I don't know exactly how that's going to happen, but the important thing is to have a positive vision of the future instead of a negative vision. So if we have a dark vision about the future with technology, that's what we're going to create. If we have a positive vision, that's what we're going to create, because we are co-creators of our reality. We can create our future. So that's why it's important to imagine a good future, I think. Okay, anybody else have a question? Yes?
Do you approve of the present system, political system, that controls our world?
Absolutely not. I think the problem in this world are governments. Any government creates borders, and governments, the job of a government is to keep the border and control. And I think the future is the opposite. The future is to dissolve borders and freedom. And once we have free energy and we have abundant resources from space, there's plenty for everybody. Nature is abundant with food, air, water. The universe is abundant with material. Governments are the problem. People are the solution.
What kind of movement do you think would be necessary to create create the kind of society you envision?
I think there's many little things happening now, eco-communities, and there's not just one style, there's many styles. And I think each one of those are a kind of an experiment. There's also festivals like Burning Man in the USA, where you can't use money at the festival. So it's an experiment in gifting. So there are kind of little experiments happening all over the world now, which kind of show the future, what the future might be. Also, the internet is showing us a new model where we have open source. You have free information on the internet. You can, if you want a word processor, you can download it for free. It's a model of sharing and cooperation. And I think these are examples that are happening now that will grow like seeds into the future. So many small things that are happening at the same time, but I can't see one big movement. I think we need to move away from a big movement. We need to move away from centralized government, centralized energy, centralized power, and we need to have a more varied series of different models that we can develop. So the successful ones will grow, the ones that are not successful won't grow. Does that answer your question? It's a very good question.
Well, it seems to me that the biggest problem we have is that the industrial, military, and political elite system. How could we, in your view, how could we eliminate that kind of system?
I completely agree. Secrecy, the military-industrial complex, governments don't control the planet. Governments are near the bottom of the pyramid. You have government, corporations, banks, World Bank. It's a power structure which not many people know about, but they appear to have a lot of power, but actually I don't think they have much power, because there are more of us than there are of them. And I think that the internet is helping us learn about the situation. Once people learn the reality of the situation, they can take action. And I think that's happening. People are waking up. They're learning about the corruption, and they're starting to take action, not to fight the old system, but just simply to create a new system. There's no good fighting the old system. The biggest revolution is gardening, growing your own food. That's a real revolutionary act. You know, being self-sufficient, cooperating with your neighbors, working on projects to make this world better. We don't need the government to make the world better. We just simply need to cooperate amongst ourselves, grow food gardens, help each other. So yeah, governments aren't the solution, but we are. So it's an exciting time. There's a kind of an awakening going on. Is that okay?
It would be possible to create the kind of movement that could get rid of that kind of evil system.
Yeah, I think secrecy is very hard to keep. So these black projects and military-industrial corporations are finding it harder and harder to keep secrets. Also, the physics is coming out, the new energy physics is coming out. So I think it's starting to crack. I think the consciousness is changing, and that old paradigm is dying. So I think very positively about the future, that people are learning and waking up. So I think that's a very important first step, is being aware of the problem.
Now I would like to ask you a couple of questions,
Okay.
Which are not directly related to what I just asked you.
Sure, ask away.
The title of your lecture is Living in the New Paradigm.
Paradigm, yeah.
Why did you choose to use the expression the new paradigm instead of a new paradigm?
Yeah.
I happen to.
Yeah, good question. I'm not sure. I could have used a new paradigm or the new paradigm, but I already know the paradigm, so I use the definite article. But it was just a subconscious thing. I just paradigm, the new paradigm. Good question.
Well, most of us here who are participants today are unfamiliar with your idea of the new paradigm. So it seemed to me that it would have been better for you to have chosen to say a new paradigm.
Okay, good point. Yeah.
I used to be an English teacher, so I'm very sensitive to the use of the and a.
Yeah, and language is very powerful, so language is kind of magical and it has a power, so you're quite right. So if I ever do this kind of talk again, I'll use the indefinite article. Thank you. Is there anybody else that would like to ask a question?
May I ask you
I'll come back to you.
some personal questions?
Okay.
Since I used to be an English teacher, I'm very interested in accents. Do you still retain the first accent you acquired as a child?
No. When I was born in England and I came to New Zealand, and I quickly lost my English accent, and my mother hated my New Zealand accent. So I think that's natural, especially for young people. They soon change when they move to a new town or a new country. So yeah, I think definitely I changed. Is that okay?
What is it that motivated your parents to migrate to New Zealand?
Oh, that's a long story, but I wish I had more time. So we're going to have to finish, but I think we've got time just for one more question.
My question is crop circle.
Oh, crop circle? Uh-huh.
I hear the way how crop circle are made is in the unknown world or mysterious world. Is it true?
I've never seen a crop circle being made, except there's a video, I think there's 2 videos on YouTube. You can see from 1999, there was a crop circle being made there were 2 balls of light, and they moved around the field, and you could just see the wheat falling over, and it created a crop circle. It is a mystery though. Some crop circles are made by people. They use boards and pieces of rope, but the ones that are made by ET, people often report lights moving around the area, and then shortly after a crop circle will appear. So they must use some kind of directed energy or microwave energy or a series of different energies, and they kind of scan it into the field. Apart from those YouTube videos, I really recommend that if you want to find out more, YouTube is your friend, and you can find out a lot of this information on YouTube. Google. Is that okay?
Nowadays, the space satellite make it portray.
Yeah, they can just.
Observe
Yeah.
space.
Yeah, well, maybe they are.
So it's the way how to read talk start with maybe
Yeah, I'm sure the military. I think you're right. I think the military satellites know exactly what's going on, but we don't know. So they don't tell us. They just tell us this is not real. Go back to work. There's nothing to do. Nothing about the UFO subject is real. Just carry on working. Carry on shopping. There's.
one more question. So your works,
Uh-huh.
you should describe what is the size of your
Most of them are A4 size.
your size?
Yeah, the real size is A4. A4, like a piece of copy paper size. Yeah, quite small. Most of them. A few of them are a little bit bigger. But these days I just keep it to A4. Yeah, A4 size. Oh, sorry. Anyway, thank you all. I'm sorry we've run out of time, but thank you so much for being patient and listening to my crazy, strange, unusual things. But as I say, just go, if you're interested in any of this, please check on the internet. And good luck. Thank you.
Thank you very much.じゃあ皆さん、アンケート用紙をお配りしておりますので、よろしければご記入いただいて、受付の方で出していただければありがたいです。また後から来られた方も